it's love again. And I pulled up in the color bins, choking, staying hard through my Prada lens. You standing there looking fine as a Kardashian. I hopped out, grabbed her hand and asked her, Ken, not marriage, no, not yet. But what's the chances of dinner time? 6 plus sex, she said it equals us, pass the Dutch, and you could keep the clutch. Cause my love for you was automatic, had to have it. Now I'm living lavish, so many different whips, and every day new Gucci, Prada, and Louis baggage.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Married with Knowledge. Today, I have a very, very special guest with me today. I happen to call her my mother in law, but I'm going to allow her to formally introduce herself.
Well, thank you very much, Terrence. My name is Dr. Loretha J. McCullough, and as Terry said, I am his mother-in-law, so that makes me Laquanda's mother.
Yes, yes. So, Uncle Clee, as you can see, is not here today. He got the week off. So I figured it'd be a good time to bring you on um, and just get a little bit of your background and let you shed light on what it is to be a strong, black, independent, single by choice woman. Um, I don't want my audience to get it confused that I'm pushing marriage or I'm always promoting marriage. I mean, marriage isn't for everyone. As we always talk about, if it was an easy thing to do, everyone would be married, everyone would be happy, the world would just be a big happy place. But it's not. So, um, I figure you can definitely drop some knowledge and give some insight, share your experiences, and let the audience know that it's okay to be by yourself, especially when it's by choice, for one, most importantly, and when you are focused on your goals. So, is there anything you want to say before we get started?
Well, no, I do. Thank you so much for the opportunity of having me on. And, I'm hoping that I am able to provide some insight to the population out there because, as you said, marriage is not for everyone. For those who are in a marital situation, it's a beautiful thing. But there are individuals who are out there who are miserable. They're married, but they're miserable. So, I'm just here to shed some light, drop some jewels, hopefully.
Yes, ma'am. That is the truth. You just dropped a big jewel right there. There are people in marriages and relationships that are just not happy. And
Yeah.
if I'm gonna promote anything, it's definitely healthy marriages, healthy relationships. So
Yeah.
I'll leave that at that. But we will get started. I'm
Okay.
just gonna ask you a series of questions. Um, first thing comes to mind, just honest answers. Um, I know you're real good at this, so
We'll see.
so let's get started. We'll keep it light
Okay.
to start off.
Okay. Let's keep it light. Keep it light.
So my first question is, as pertaining to me and Laquanda, your lovely, beautiful daughter, what was your first impression when you met me as her boyfriend?
So that's a loaded question. And let me tell you why. This goes back decades, decades. In high school, I actually knew your dad. I knew your uncle. As a matter of fact, Quan's dad and your uncle David were best friends. So we used to all run together from that standpoint. Um, before you were even born, before you and Quan were even thought of. So we have history there, long-standing history there. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit and go to the point of, again, still a connection because my grandson, oldest grandson, Corey, and happens to be your cousin. So Corey's dad, Big Corey, is your first cousin. So again, the history's there. And I remember at one point when Corey was playing football, you were the coach. You were the coach. So I used to bring him to practice all the time. And
I
so,
remember.
you know, again, it just goes way back. So I never had any concerns when I found out that the two of you were dating. You know, it was like family. It was like family. So I had no concerns from that standpoint because I knew that you came from a good family and knowing your mom as well.
Mhm.
So not only did I know your dad, but I knew your mom as well, way back when. So no issues, no concerns from that standpoint. It was interesting how everything came full circle. I never could have imagined that.
Yeah, and I'll shed some light on that. You said Quan's dad ran with my uncle. So from that stance, I actually used to call her dad Unc. So he went from being my unc to my father-in-law,
Mhm,
which is
mhm.
rather crazy. Um,
Yes.
and I do remember you telling Quan, well, if he's anything like his dad, you're gonna be all right.
Yep. Good
And
people.
that's why, when I do this podcast, his picture's right there because
Yep.
he's always here. Because a lot of people always have nothing but good things to say about him. So, you know, I wish I could thank him right now again for setting that good example to the point where I didn't have to work as hard because when they see me, they're like, "Oh, that's his son. Oh, he's a good dude." So
Mhm.
I try my hardest just to follow in those footsteps and be half as good as he was.
And I will say to you, you know, you are walking in his footsteps. And I will also say to you that he's looking down and he's very proud of everything that you have achieved thus far. You have a bright
Absolutely.
future ahead of you. So keep it up.
Thank you. I wholeheartedly believe that.
Yeah.
So, stemming from that same question, was there ever or what was did you ever see the point where you saw me and said, "You know what? I can see my daughter marrying him. I can see them being together forever." When was that point or how did it come about?
Well, I think it was from the beginning. I think it was from the beginning, you know, so from the very start, because again, going back to what I previously said about knowing your family. So I knew where you came from. So I had no issues from that standpoint. And you better believe I did homework too. You
I know
already
you
know.
do.
You know, I did my homework. I was scoping some stuff out because, yep, I needed to make sure all the I's were dotting, the T's were crossing, and the math was mathing. So
I respect
no
it.
issues from that standpoint. You know, we have to do background checks.
I respect it.
I wish more people did them.
Yes. No,
Yeah.
that's very true. That's very true. So now that we're married, what surprises you the most about our marriage?
I don't think there's anything that I would say surprises me because, like, you came from a good family, so did Quan. So Quan was raised by two very independent. Now I want to say independent, but she was raised by, you know, a stepfather and her mom who brought her up to be independent. So never had any issues from that standpoint. Quan is just like me. Quan is a go-getter. She's
Mhm.
very, very ambitious. If it's out there, if it's money to be made, she's gonna make it. If it's not making money, it's not making sense. All right.
Mhm.
What I would say that I have a great deal of respect for now that you're married is keeping the marriage alive. So the honeymoon has not gone away. You all are always doing something. Every time I turn around, you're doing something. So while you have busy lives and you have a busy family, but you always carve out that time to make time for one another. And that's important. That's truly, truly important in a relationship. Not just a marriage, but in a relationship.
Relationship. Yeah.
Because once the honeymoon is over, all bets are off.
Yeah. And
So keep it going.
thank you. And speaking about how Quan was raised, Because like you said, I definitely agree. She was raised by a great mother, a great
Mm,
family. But her nickname is, to me, ask her what I call her. I call her Little Love because,
yep.
like you said, y'all are like very very similar, very similar in a lot of ways. I'm talking about from the
Mhm.
way you talk to habits. I'm like, you really are a mini version of your mother.
Wait, let me
So
say this.
that's
So, interestingly enough, when they were in high school and the kids used to call the house, I would answer the phone. Hey, Quan. No, this is not Quan. Oh, hey, Tree. No, this ain't Treese. Oh, hey, Miss Loretha. The whole tone just changed. I'm sorry, Miss Loretha. Yeah, but everybody always said the three of us sounded alike.
hmm
Yeah.
I agree. So as I was saying, speaking of how she was raised, do you see anything in how she is in a relationship? Do you see anything that she might have got from you? Do you see any of your habits or the way she is in a relationship? Does it
Yes.
mirror, you kind of?
Oh, absolutely. I would say committed. I would say loyal. Again, she's independent, but she also knows how to bring it together as well. So she does her own thing, but she's married, so she knows how to bring it all together. But yeah, she's highly ambitious, as I stated. But one thing for certain and two things for sure, we are committed individuals. So when we get into something, we're going to see it all the way through. Unless something catastrophic happens, we're in it
Right.
to win it. Yep.
I like that answer. So my last question, as far as me and Quan goes, what advice would you give us um, for us to continue growing?
I would say to you, as I already stated, continue to stay in the honeymoon phase. Don't let that fade out. Always make time for one another. We get busy. There's a lot of distractions, a
hmm
lot of noise. Sometimes you have to shut everything out, shut it down, like I know you all do, because I come there and I spend time with you all and I know what you do. You shut it down. So continue to do that. The other thing I would say is communicate, 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 communicate. There may be some instances where things are painful, but you got to face it. You got to face it. Because again, marriage is a commitment, as you know. It's a commitment. It's for better or for worse. Nobody wants to get married and get divorced and get married and get no. You're in it to win it. It's until death or till death do us part.
hmm
Yeah.
I agree.
So
Thank you for that, because
you're welcome.
I'm one to always take advice and implement it in my life, and just continue to change and continue to grow. Because
Hmm.
if you watch our episodes, even when Quan was on here, it was when we stopped recording. Unc was like, "Man, you two like literally say the same things, like have the same answers," and I'm just like, "Cause we're on the same page." Like when you have that connection with somebody, you have a common goal. It's easy to move alike, to think alike, what I mean, make decisions as one because, we want to make sure the team is happy and not just one of us.
Yeah, because you have a common interest. You do have a common interest. You know what I'm saying? So that's important. It's truly important. And the other thing I would say to you too is you're her best friend. She's your best friend.
Mhm.
And I would say to you, and I might be jumping ahead, but what I would say to you is I miss my best friend of 32 years, you know? So
Mhm.
that was my best friend, my
Right.
best friend. Knew me inside and out, and vice versa. So, yeah.
Well, that's not you're not jumping ahead. You're flowing right with it. It's not only that me and Quan have the connection. This is the whole family connection thing. Because
Yep.
now we're just gonna jump into some questions about you and a little bit about your past.
Okay.
So the very first question I do have for you as far as that go is, you were in a 32-year relationship, which very well could have led to marriage.
Mhm.
Um, but talk to the people about what did you learn from that experience, from the whole experience.
Okay. Yeah, so you talk about it could have led to marriage. We got engaged back in 1992. Matter of fact, it was Valentine's Day of 1992. And, we had talked about, at that point, I pregnant with Shay and whatnot. So we had talked about, getting married. And what I would say to you, though, is I had different um, dreams. I'll say it from that standpoint. And at that point in time, my interest was going back to school, furthering my education. So it was like we weren't we both had the same goal in mind, and that was to become one. But it wasn't at the same time. We were misaligned, you know. If I was ready, then it's like, okay, well, I don't know if he's ready, or if he was when he was ready, I wasn't ready. So we can never get aligned. We can never get aligned. So I would say to you, alignment is important. Alignment is truly, truly important. In listening, not being selfish,
Right.
not being selfish. Because like I said, I had goals. I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do, and my goals actually were focused on how can I make a better way for the family. So the family was always the end goal. I was never focused on anything else. It was always about the family. How I'm doing, whatever I'm doing is for my family, to make sure my family will be taken care of. But it's being aligned at the same time and making sure that the lines of communication are always open. There were some decisions, and I'm not going to go into detail, but some decisions that I caught myself making. I'm going to make my decisions by myself. And so, he had to check me a few times and say, well, you ain't by yourself. It's one thing
Right.
to make decisions when you by yourself, but you ain't by yourself. So you need to be running some stuff by me. So I'm like, okay, I got it. So it's that kind of thing, but keeping the lines of communication open and knowing that when you need to be checked, it's okay for you to be checked. You got to be
Mhm.
checked, and vice versa.
Yeah. I could definitely agree with that because me as a man, I'm like, okay, I want to make this decision, but I got a better half that I have to run it by. No matter
Hmm.
how big or small I think the decision is. Because when you get married, you become one. So it's
Yep.
not. It might seem little to me, but she might have wanted to be included. So
Yep.
I definitely like that advice because that's something that I live by as well.
But I'll tell you too, growing up in an environment where you were taught to be independent, where you were taught to not rely on a man for anything or not rely on a woman for anything, I am highly, highly independent. And so, yeah,
Mhm.
I need to be checked sometimes because, I'm doing my own thing. Yeah, but it was all good. It's all
Yeah.
about respect too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that was half the reason I brought you on here because people got to know, you know, when we say single by choice, but you're also, like you said, very independent. So I joke with Quan all the time. That's Mister. I don't need no Miss. I don't need no man for nothing. You hear me?
If you know, you
If
if
I
you know,
gotta
you know.
fix the toilet, if I got to climb on the roof, if I can't
What
do it,
Well, you already know, you see my TikTok videos, I'll be in here, I'll change my garbage disposal, I'll replace
Mhm.
the faucet on the sink, I do all of that stuff.
Yeah.
My philosophy is I'm not afraid to try anything. Anything. I replaced the belt on my washer, on the dryer. The drum wasn't going. I had to fix it. So yeah, I know how to fix it. Yeah, I can do it. I ain't paying nobody nothing for something that I can do myself.
Right. All right. So moving on. If you could go back, what would you change about anything from that season of your life?
I would say recognizing. So you said something earlier about, you're the man, you're the king of the castle. And so I would say respecting that role, and I'm a Capricorn. And if you know anything about Capricorns, when we want something done, we want it done yesterday. We want it done yesterday. There's no flexibility. Don't tell me, well, the grass ain't going nowhere. It'll be there tomorrow. No, no, no. I need the grass cut today. And so my thing is, you know what? I'm gonna go cut the grass because I want the grass cut. But from that standpoint, just respecting and just being flexible, not so rigid. It has to get done.
Right.
Again, my philosophy is never put off until tomorrow what can be done today.
Okay.
But again, allowing, others to have a voice and
Mhm.
respecting their decision. Yeah.
That's great advice. So, what would you tell someone who feels that they're stuck in a relationship that may not be leading to what they feel their end goal is?
So I would say it depends. It's twofold. The first piece of that is it depends on how much time they've invested in the relationship. That's number one. And I'll talk about that in a second. But the other thing is if you have a long standing, decades behind you, you got to put more effort in. So let me go back to the short term. So if you found yourself in a situation where you've been in a short-term relationship, things are not going the way that you anticipated or hoped that they would, get out. Do yourself a favor. There is nothing more important than protecting your peace.
Amen.
No pressure, no stress. Protect your peace at all costs. All right?
Amen.
And then because other people come with baggage. People come with baggage. And hurt people. So there's a lot of trauma, and I'm gonna talk about trauma before we get off. But there's a lot of trauma in this world today, and so some of that trauma, whether it's from childhood, whether it's from a relationship, a marriage or what have you, there's trauma there. And so until you heal yourself, you're not well enough to get into another relationship because that's just going to spill over into that. So if it's not something that's, longer term, get out. Get out until you feel that you're ready to come back in, whether it's with that same person or with somebody else. If it's a longer term relationship, I would say to you, work it out. There's nothing that can't be worked out. Nothing that can be worked out. And I will tell you this again without not going into details, but what I will say is I lost a 32-year relationship on a misunderstanding.
Mm.
A misunderstanding. Something that could have been talked through. A complete misunderstanding. So,
And that's
communication.
that's just, that just shows how you acknowledge that now though.
Mhm.
Some people will not even admit that.
Yeah.
They'll still blame it on what the other person did, whether they did something or not, because they can't take accountability, which, is a very big word in our household. From the
Mhm.
kids on up, accountability
Mhm.
is something that we teach and we live by. So
As you
that's
should.
that's good
As you
advice.
should. But communication, even when it doesn't feel good, talk it out.
Mhm.
Talk. If you put that much time in, why throw it away?
Right.
Why throw it away?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah.
moving on along. So we spoke about, how independent you are. So what do you love most about living on your own terms as far as, you don't really have anyone to answer to, you don't have no worries basically.
Well, what's interesting about that is even when I was in my relationship, I still didn't really quote unquote have to answer to anybody because we had a relationship whereby we knew each other like a book, like a book. The trust, yeah. So there wasn't, I didn't have to worry about anything from that standpoint. So now though, it's like a catch 22. Yeah, I'm independent. I've always been independent. I was a teen mom, so I had to grow up very fast. Being a teen mom at the age of my first daughter was 16. My second daughter, Quan. Matter of fact, I graduated from high school when I was pregnant with Quan, walked the stage in June and had her in August. So a teen mom, I had to learn quickly. Had to learn quickly. So being independent, that was in my DNA. It was in the DNA. So, but like I said, it's a catch 22 because it's a good thing, but then it has its downsides as well. Because you get lonely. When I want to hang out and I want to do something, yeah, I ain't scared to go by myself. I do it all the time. You know me, I'll get on a flight. I'm out of here, deuces. I'm out of here. But, at sometimes you want to just go and hang and just have a good time. Just have a good time. So, like I said, it's a catch 22. It has its ups and it has its downs.
Mhm. So do you feel people misunderstand independence when it comes to women in relationships?
Yep, I do. I believe not I believe, I know to be factual that there are men out there and women out there who are intimidated by independence. And some people mistake independence for arrogance.
Right.
Yeah, so you can't mistake it. It should not be mistaken. You should want somebody who's independent. But there are
Exactly.
people out here who want people who are needy.
Hmm.
I'm not dealing with nobody that's needy. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I'm gonna be
Right.
out deuces. Deuces. I'm out. I'm not gonna tolerate it. I just don't have
I
a high
mean,
level of patience for any of that.
that creates unnecessary drama and stress
It
because
does.
now you have to worry about that person's worries. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? And
Exactly.
and speaking with Quan, I kind of said something to her when we first started dating. Like, I can see how a man will be intimidated by you. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, there's no way you're this good of a woman and you're single. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And she definitely said, yeah, men get intimidated because
That's
they
true.
see her independence and her go getter mentality as she's trying to be the alpha.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
me being married to her, I'm here to say that's the total opposite because
Mhm.
I don't care what she does. She still sees me as the leader, as the head of the household. She can do whatever. It does not matter. She respects and she knows she has a husband that is going to protect and going to lead, and she doesn't mind taking a step back and following my lead. You know what I mean?
Let
And
me
it's good
say
that
this though. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say, but on my end, it's good that I have a very smart, ambitious woman because it just makes life much easier. You know what I mean? And I
Yep.
I can't stress enough, like when I tell people, like we have yet to get into an argument. Not that I'm looking forward to it, but it's
Mhm.
just that we, not only are aligned and on the same page, we know our roles. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And we study each other to know what each other's needs are. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And we don't step on toes. You know what I'm saying? Do we have disagreements? Of course. You
Yeah.
don't have a perfect relationship, but the communication you talk about is something that we do. Like, communication is key, as you said.
It definitely is. And let's stay there for a minute. So you talk about independence. Well, do you want somebody that's lazy? Would you, if you had somebody out here who's a go-getter and somebody who just wants to sit around and be waited on, I mean, what do you want?
Mhm.
What do you want? And I think what's important there is it's the courting phase, that they would say. So it's dating. It's dating. It's really getting to know that person so that you know what you're getting into. And what I would also say is it was easier back in the day when you had somebody where you were coming out of high school or just going into a relationship early on than to build with that person because you knew each other in and out than to now later in life try to find someone because you have a number of things that you're faced with. For example, you got a number of people out here on the down low.
Mhm.
I'm just saying, you don't know what you're getting into. You don't know what you're getting into. I've had people say they've caught their husband or significant other, males, with other men. So, mm-mm. You have
Seems
to be
way
careful.
too common nowadays, I'll tell you
It is.
that.
It definitely is. You have to be careful. You got to be careful. But me, I'm independent. I'll be independent until
Okay.
I take my last breath. Until I take that
Nothing wrong
last
with
breath.
that.
Yeah.
So how do you think relationships today differ from when you were younger?
Well, it's kind of like what I just said, growing up with someone, knowing them in their early stages, you're growing together. Like I'll take you and Quan, which what I would consider to be an anomaly. And I say that because you're a blended family. You had your children, she had her children, you all were able to come together and everything is just going smoothly. Everything is you all have not skipped a beat. When I come through to do what I do, it's for everybody. I don't just pick
Mm,
Deani and Jaden because those are my biological grandkids. I take care of all of them.
mhm,
G needs something. Okay, G, here you go. Sin needs something. Okay, Sin, here you go. I look out for everybody. So you all have what I would consider to be an unusual situation, like the Brady Bunch. That's the best way I can
mhm.
describe it.
Oh, no,
Where you
we
had your
listen,
family, you had, and you bringing everything together.
when I first thought about doing a podcast, it was going to be well, and we're thinking about a reality show for the
Hmm.
whole family.
I
And I
remember.
said the introduction is going to be a remix of the Brady Bunch.
I remember that.
Because I got older and I didn't realize when I was younger that the Brady Bunch is exactly what we have now. I did not
Absolutely.
know that. And I said,
Absolutely.
wow, that was pretty cool. That was pretty
Yep.
cool.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. But
Yep.
yeah, you brung up how you treat all the grandkids exactly the same. I mean, that's something that we greatly, appreciate. Um, and it's also something that made me admire you, woman or not. Men tend to look up to men and things like that. But when I saw how you move, how you love, how you care, I'm like, wow, that is something that inspires me. Because not only do you love, whether it's with comfort, but you know how to show tough love. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I have no qualms with that.
Exactly. And I tell Quan all the time, I'm like, man, I really admire that woman. Like, she's, we spoke of the word, but I'm like, she's just an alpha. He's single, so I can throw that out. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just like, it's very inspirational. And again, this is why I wanted to bring you on here so we can let the ladies out here know that there is nothing wrong with the way you are doing things because it comes with a lot of success. It comes with less stress. You know what I'm saying? You are human, you are a woman. So, like you said, it might get lonely sometimes, but you know how to entertain yourself and go out and you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? You got friends that you can hang out with. So it's not as bad as someone will make it seem. Oh, I'm gonna die alone and all of this and that. I'm like, man,
Yeah, I'm not
before I met
concerned about
Quan,
that.
I was
Mm-mm.
prepared to I'll be alone forever. I don't care.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, again, it's less stress, but I my kids keep me going. The kids, the grandkids, they will keep me young. Whenever I feel like I need a break, I'm gonna get on a plane. I'm gonna go wherever it is I want to go. My plan for next year is I'm going to Africa. So I spent the last 2 years working on this doctoral degree, defended successfully in June. Therein lies the Dr. Loretha J. And so I
Big
said my
congratulations.
graduation present to myself is a trip to Africa. So that's my next thing. I got to get that plan because I'm out of here. I'm out of here.
No,
I'm going back
nothing
to the
wrong with that.
motherland. Yep, going to the motherland.
Nothing wrong with that. So my last question for you is if you could pass on a life lesson to future generations in our family, what would it be?
Take your time. Take your time. No need to rush. Um, you don't want to. My mom always said relationships are easy to get into, more so a marriage is easy to get into and hard to get out of. So don't put yourself in a position where it may cost you significantly time, you know, emotions, all that. You don't want to do it. Just take your time. Get to know the individual. Get to know the individual. Understand whether or not if you all are compatible. And I would also say to you, there's a lot of game that's being played out here too. So you got to
Mhm.
know game recognizes game. People can talk a good game when it's beneficial for them. When they see that there's something in it for them, they know how to talk game. And so you need to be able to recognize the bullshit and get through it and say, not today, not tomorrow, not the next day. Get out. Yep, get out. If you have to, back in the day, they used to call it um, courting. We used to court, That's how the old folks used to say, we courting. They didn't call it dating. And so, yeah, if you need to court, you need to date, 2, 3 years, whatever it is, however long it takes you to get to know someone. The other thing I would say through that process, when you recognize red flags, do
Don't
something
ignore
about it.
'em. Don't
Yeah,
ignore
do
them.
not ignore the red flags. Take
You
action.
stuck.
Yep. Take action. It's not worth it. I was listening to the radio today on my way home, and they were talking about projects. The only project I'm gonna work on is mine, my own. I'm not working on any human projects.
Right.
No, people are grown. Y'all go and you gonna do whatever it is you want to do. I'm not raising no more kids. I've raised my kids. I've raised my grandkids. I'm not raising nobody else. That's over. So, run,
That is
run.
great advice. That is great
Yeah,
advice. But before we leave, you are about to start your very own podcast.
I am.
So I definitely want you to talk about that. First off, congratulations.
Thank
Definitely
you.
proud of it all. I just, I love to see the growth. I love to see you set goals and just tackle them, because as family, we support each other. Um,
Absolutely.
so just
Absolutely.
speak on what you have coming, the name of your podcast, where they can find it, and all that good stuff.
So it's still in progress, but it's called Unspoken Truths, Trauma in the Black Community. And, it's driven based on the research that I done, the research study as part of my doctoral journey. And that was really to examine the long-term impact of childhood trauma in the Black community. So there was a lot of information, a lot of a lot of nuggets that I gleaned through that process. And I think it needs to be shared. It definitely needs to be shared There's a lot that's going on within the Black community, and it was exacerbated during COVID, more so in terms of mental health. So I want to talk about that. I want to share my knowledge with the world, give them an opportunity to understand what some of these things are and the path of healing, how to get the healing and the support that they need to be a better individual and to live the life that they were intended to live. So, more to come on that. I'll be launching that soon. So, stay tuned. More to come.
Definitely, bro. Sounds exciting. You know, we will be tuning in because we love to learn. We love to hear you speak because when you speak, listen, your antennas better be up. You better get some notes because she drops knowledge.
We're going to be dropping jewels. So,
Yeah.
Terry, before we exit, what I would like to do is when Clee is available, I'd love to come back
Hmm.
on a
We definitely
future
could do that.
episode with Clemont.
Of course. Yes, yes. Because he had something to do. He was sad that he's like, I can get on there for about 10 minutes. I'm like, oh, it's okay. I'll hold it down. We'll bring her back. We'll get through this one. But yeah, you could definitely come back and we can have a little
Okay.
fun episode or something because you guys were neighbors, so you guys have a lot of history together. So I'm pretty sure he has a lot of stories to share. Um, and basically co-sign your independence. Because just real quick, just one little story. He's like, man, Loretha used to put pressure on me to cut my grass. I ain't even want to cut my grass today, but she out there cutting grass.
Listen,
So
standards. I got standards, high standards.
yes, yeah, ain't
But
nothing wrong with that.
sometimes you gotta, keep them standards in check too, because everybody's not gonna be at your level. So be flexible.
Right.
You gotta be flexible. It's important. Meet people where they are. If it's important to you. Yep. If it's important to you, meet people where they are.
I agree.
Yep.
But again, I want to thank you for taking the time to come on here. I mean, it was a pleasure. It was a great episode. Again, I always like hearing you speak, just giving knowledge and dropping jewels to people because you definitely have a lot to say and a lot of teaching points. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. And hopefully somebody will, take some of what we talked about tonight and, take it into account. If something that we talked about tonight resonates with them, then, you have additional questions, don't hesitate to reach out. But take heed. Definitely take heed. There are a lot of Black couples out here who have long standing, people out here celebrating 50 and 60 years of marriage. So it can be done. It can
Amen.
definitely be done. If they wanna be kept, they'll be kept.
Amen.
So,
Amen.
that's
So
it,
thank
that's
you
all.
guys for tuning in with me and my mother-in-law. We will be back next week. Uncle Clee will be back with another episode. As always, put God first and the rest will follow.
Yep,
Peace.
peace.